good to go and we're live now. Justin, are we live? Yes. Perfect, perfect. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm sorry for the delay. Had a little technical difficulties, but we are rocking and rolling now. Mr. Campbell, let the record reflect that all three trustees are here and present. And before we begin, two things. If anyone has a comment they'd like to make during our public comment section, back in the very back, there's some comment cards you can fill out, and then Mr. McCormick will swing by and grab those before we begin that section. And then the second thing is just a heads up, in about 2 hours at 8 o'clock, if whatever item we're on, we'll wrap that up, and I'm going to motion to recess for 5 or 10 minutes around 8 o'clock, if we get to that far. All right. And Mr. Campbell, is there any correspondence for tonight?
No, sir, I have none. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Moving on to our very special presentation, our beloved Miss Nancy. Miss Nancy, come on up. And this is a very bittersweet moment for our township. And Miss Nancy, I'm going to read your bio, a little bit of history on you, so I can lay the foundation of what all you've done for our township. And this doesn't even do justice for what you've done. But Miss Nancy started her career as an administrative assistant for the Mount Moriah Cemetery on September 26, 2001. In her 22 years of dedicated and loyal service to Union Township and Mount Moriah Cemetery, Nancy was responsible for many improvements to the cemetery. Some of these include updating old cemetery records from Excel spreadsheets to our current cemetery software from webcemeteries.com. She was instrumental in acquiring grants for old monument restoration. Much appreciated. Researching and documenting Mount Moriah Cemetery history and coordinating history tours and landscaping workshops for our residents. It should be noted that also with Nancy's career here at Union Township, she worked as the administrative assistant to our service director. Working on payroll to purchase orders to the service department, Miss Nancy was always willing to help accomplish any task that she was asked of her. In 2010, the service department was tasked to become accredited by the APWA, the American Public Works Association. Once the process started and through its successful completion in 2011, Nancy played a key role in the success of the service department becoming accredited. Since then, 2015, 19, and 2023, she documented and maintained all files that were responsible for the reaccreditation. Lastly, Nancy has always worked hard and take great pride in all her work at Mount Moriah Cemetery. Since September of 2008, she has been responsible for coordinating the annual Mount Moriah Cemetery lantern lighting ceremony. Since its creation, it has continued to grow in size and popularity with our township. And gentlemen, I will entertain a motion for resolution 2023-35.
So moved. Second.
Let me go and read this off. Miss Nancy, you are very well deserved of this, and I'm going to go and read it. The Board of Trustees of Union Township, Clermont County, Ohio, met in regular session on the Civic Center right here at the Colts Road address. Myself, Joe Dills, John Becker, and Michael Logue. Whereas the Union Township Board of Trustees desires to acknowledge and recognize Miss Nancy Webkenberg for her 22 years of dedicated service. And whereas Nancy started her career as administrative assistant at Mount Moriah Cemetery on September 26, 2001. And whereas Nancy has continued to work at Mount Moriah Cemetery and has been responsible for many improvements to the cemetery, including digitizing process, acquiring grants to restore historical monuments, organizing the lantern lighting event since 2008, and taking the time to research and document the history of Mount Moriah as a community asset in Union Township. And whereas Nancy has been an integral part of the service department during her tenure, always willing to help accomplish any tasks needed, including playing a key role in achieving and maintaining National Accreditation Service Department since 2011. Whereas Miss Nancy worked at Mount Moriah Cemetery often requires dealing with incredibly difficult and emotional concerns for residents, and Nancy has provided exceptional care service to the residents of Union Township. whereas the Union Township Board of Trustees desire to officially honor and recognize Ms. Nancy Webkenberg for her outstanding achievement, service, and dedication to the organization and the community as a whole. And lastly, whereas the board would like to personally and publicly thank Ms. Nancy Webkenberg for her service to Union Township because we believe she has excelled in the position and worked to create, enhance, and maintain Union Township's reputation as a premier residential and commercial destination within the greater Cincinnati metropolitan area. Gentlemen, I'll go ahead and call for a vote. Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And before we begin anything else, I know you've worked many years with our service director, Matt Taylor. I'm going to throw it over to Matt. Matt?
Nancy, obviously, we've worked together a long time, and I don't think, obviously, I know all the accolades and the awards. People that really get to know you really know what you were like. The first impression, you're the first thing people see when you, in the worst times of their life at the cemetery. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me, not only as the administrative assistant, as a friend. Obviously, we've swapped a lot of recipes together, but I'm incredibly happy for you to be able to be retired. I know we've talked about the trips that you're going to go on. I think you'll enjoy it, and I can't thank you enough. I mean, words can't say enough, but thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Oh, yeah.
It's been an honor and a blessing to serve the residents of Union Township and the surrounding community, especially at Mount Moriah Cemetery. I've always felt like it's been more of a calling for me than a job. And I want to thank all the past and present administrators and Board of Trustees for this opportunity. And I'll always remember the people that I work with and the families that I serve. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Nancy. And then don't take off just yet.
Okay.
Well, first off, I know that you said past trustees. We've got a couple past trustees here as well, and they'd probably like to give you a hug before you leave out of here as well. But Miss Nancy, I remember Nikia's grandmother passing away, and it was right after I got elected. And you probably didn't even know this at the time, but the funeral was over, and my three kiddos, which can be great but wild, went into your office and were going crazy. You probably didn't know they were mine, but you were so just sweet and motherly and patient, and yet you probably have seen thousands upon thousands of tens of thousands of people come through there, and yet you still treated them, every single one of them, just lovingly, motherly, and caring. And I appreciate that. And because I didn't get into that building until 5-10 minutes after they got in, and you had already taken care of everything. I appreciate that. And so, and I'll tell you, I said this to you over there, to you and your husband, you made me lazy with that cemetery. You did. Because I didn't have to worry about it. Miss Nancy's got it covered. I don't have to worry about it. Let's focus on other things. And I hopefully you take that as 100% as a compliment, because you made our jobs easier. And so Miss Lori's got big shoes to fill, but I know you trained her right, and I just appreciate everything you've done for us. Hopefully you know that, and you can hear the sincerity in my voice. So, yeah. Mr. Becker, sir?
Sure. Nancy, I don't know you very well, but I do know you are beloved by the community. Every time I see you, you get a smile on your face, and it's always pleasant to be around. And just want to say thank you for all of the service you've given us.
Mr. Luke, sir?
Yeah, Nancy, thank you for your years of service, and you're definitely going to be missed around here, but I know, as I was talking with you and your family beforehand, exciting chapters ahead with more time for grandchildren, and look, that's absolutely wonderful, and that's the place I want to be one day. A grandparent like you with blessings like that, so he is all very blessed and fortunate, so thank you.
Ms. Nancy, you are retiring. Like your cruises and travel, what do you got?
We have cruises to Norway and Belgium and Hawaii.
Oh,
All kind of trips planned.
well, I'm jealous.
My husband's been the cruise director.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, you brought a lot of family. Introduce them real quick, please.
Yes, okay, well, my husband Dan.
Yes.
My beautiful mother Betty. My daughter-in-law Jessica
Yeah.
And we have Max, my son Andrew, and my beautiful daughter-in-law Melissa.
It's a proud day for you, Miss Nancy. I love it. I love it. So if it's okay with you, we'll come down and take our picture, and then I want you to get a picture with all your family, okay? All right, please, yeah. Okay, great. And tonight we've got, well, I'll wait till they get them. It's okay. All right, and tonight we've got 3 employees with service awards. First one is Lieutenant Scott Blankenship, 25 years with our police department. He could not be here tonight. His wife is recovering from surgery. But our second one, 25 years, Officer Richard Williams. Sir, come on up, please. And actually, before I say anything, I'm going to let our fine chief of police say a few words. Tony?
Rick, congratulations on 25 years. Rick and I were hired actually right around the same time. And
Love that.
if I could just say a couple things about Rick, dependable, comes to work every day with a positive smile on his face. Rick is working for us over at the Carter Center. He's a resource officer over there, sometimes under difficult conditions, but he does it with a positive attitude. And I just want him to know how much we appreciate him. 25 years is a long time, so thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Chief. Rick, thank you for your service. 25 years is quite some time. Hopefully you know that how much we appreciate you. You could have gone anywhere, and you stayed right here in Union Township. It means a lot. I appreciate that, and hopefully you stick around longer as well. But you have your family here?
I do.
Oh, please introduce them, yes.
It's my wife, Teresa, my son, Nicholas, my other son, Nathan. We have 2 more boys that couldn't be here tonight as well. But
Oh, yeah. You have 4 boys?
4 boys.
You almost got a basketball team there.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
I love it. Thank you for your service, sir. And
Thank you.
Trustee Becker, do you have anything, sir?
No, I just want to echo that. Appreciate all your years of service and the community.
Thank you.
Appreciates all those years as well. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Luke?
Yeah, it's always nice to see you bumping into you at Crossroads or taking on the special duty there, or if it's, doing an evening or a Christmas Eve or something, so that the younger families can, be home with their families. And yeah, it's always nice to see you out and around the community, but obviously just running in the conversations we have at Crossroads and seeing you on that detail. So family, thank you for his service. The whole family serves together. So God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And we got a 25-year award for you. We'll come down and give that to you. Appreciate you very much, Rick. Yeah, thank you.
wish you well. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, our next one, very important gentleman, is our IT professional. He was one of the ones that helped save the night tonight. And Mr. Brandon Miller, come on up here, sir.
Still over there working.
I do not have the brains to do what you do, sir, and I appreciate you very much. And so, 10 years, Union Township. Awesome. Yeah, appreciate it. You brought some family?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
please, yeah, introduce, yeah.
So we've got my girlfriend Casey, her son Seamus, my daughter Alexis, and her daughter Nora.
Love it, love it. Thanks for all being here. Appreciate you giving us your guy here. Appreciate you very much. And Brandon, yeah, seriously, I've called you many times. You've helped save the day. Your brain is much smarter than mine, and
Just
so
different skill sets. Sir.
yeah. So thank you for all that you do for our township. Greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you know that. So bottom of my heart, really appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Becker, sir.
Yeah, your skill set is greatly appreciated, because you can do things and know things that, the rest of us do not. And I think of how many times I've called on you for various things, especially, needing a password reset or something. Then that doesn't work, and it's something else. You walk me through and eventually get it all going again. So I really appreciate you, and hope you stay for a very long time here in Union Township.
That's definitely my intent, sir.
Great.
Great. Mr. Look.
Yeah, again, always appreciate the accessibility, your diligence, and working through any troubleshooting items within the township, and, also talking about what the capabilities are and limitations, but then also, I saw firsthand just 2 weeks in my first term, nearly 4 years ago, when the ransomware attack happened, and you were one of the first immediate responders on that to identify it and start to partition it and save the township from further harm. So, that is a valuable asset right there, and what you do for the community. It's well recognized here, and I want to be able to continue to push that sentiment that it is something to be appreciated throughout the community and what you do for service to the community here. So thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brandon. Got this 10-year plaque for you. We'd like to present it to you, okay? Appreciate you, Brandon. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, next item on our agenda is going to be our public comments, but before we start, Mr. McCormick's back there. If there's, give anybody last calls that'd like to fill out those forms, would like to speak tonight.
Sir, we are having some display issues. I will keep time for the 5-minute time limit on my computer.
All
I'll
right.
announce when there's 1 minute left.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. That's okay, we can wait for a second. And then I just want to go over a few things and just kind of state the obvious in the room. So I understand the seasonality of what we're coming up. September, we're 2 months from the election. I totally get it. It can get spirited, and we have our thoughts and feelings that we would like to express. 5 minutes, public comments, that's okay. Want to make it crystal clear, though. Hey, First Amendment right, say whatever you'd like, totally okay, no sweat. Two things. Number one, absolutely no vulgar language, and I think we all can agree on that. We're all adults here. Number two is just don't cross the line of decency. That's all I'm going to say. So if it gets out of hand, I'm going to cut you off, and you don't get your full 5 minutes. I don't really want to hear about your First Amendment being violated. I made it pretty clear. Let's all be adults. It's okay. Say whatever you want, but just be respectful. That's all I ask. So with that, I see two, and we will go ahead and start with Mr. Bill Thomas. Sir, come on up. And, oh, just so you know, I don't know if you heard Ms. Ayers say, but our video is still working on that. She's got the clock, and then she'll let you know when
I'll
there's...
announce 1 minute left.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. Mr. Thomas, please, go ahead.
Bill Thomas, 838 Dorjeen. It's a whole lot of stuff to tell me. I can only say certain things, and I do remember a previous trustee board, the trustee sitting back there that I lit up a lot, that never cut me off. So I do want to say that I respect the fact that I was able to come back up here before and say what I want. So if we're going to start restricting freedom of speech, as you guys know, I can say anything at this podium as long as it's not threatening. So I will say what I want. You cut me off, you know what happens.
Hey, Ms. Ayers, will you pause this time? Make sure I'm crystal clear on this. Just no vulgar language. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, you know, cursing, things like that. And then just crossing a line of disrespect. But, I mean, take it for what it's worth, but
Sure.
it is what it is. Okay, Ms.
Gotcha.
Ayers.
So I'm here to address the trustee board on the Gordon Evans situation. I've not come up to address it publicly. A lot of residents are upset. I'm upset about it. You have, you guys ran on a platform of caring about what the residents have to say. That's what the whole Miller place, that's what got trustee Logan was fighting about with these guys back here, that Miller place was a problem. Here we are, fast forwarding to almost a similar situation, except there's no development other than development that's not aligned with the zoning of that property. You have a resident that sued Doug Evans. You have a zoning board unanimously saying, don't change the zoning laws. And this board voted to change the zoning laws, ruining that resident's case. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. How can you run on a platform? There was an article in The Sun from Mr. Logue when he ran, I believe it was 22 on my page, saying that he's running because he believes in transparency and listening to the people. Where was the Gordon's voice when you guys ruled against him and going against this zoning board? So, and the other thing is, you know, when did the rules change that it didn't have to be a unanimous vote to override your zoning board? That needs to be addressed. If you're going to override your zoning board, one no vote should quash it. If you guys can't agree, then so be it. I have issues with the, you know, a lot of us supported you guys in your run. Specifically you, Mr. Logue. We supported you. I was your friend. And you betrayed us. I speak for all of us. You betrayed us. It hurt. It hurt these folks back here. It hurt me. I stuck my neck out. I fought for you to do exactly everything that I fought against. You're in there doing the same thing. You've become nothing more than what I fought against Ken Geis, except you don't have a fraction of the business sense that he had. You have all the negative and none of the good. And as far as that sign back there, that resident didn't give you permission to put that sign. I saw you taking my picture when I come in, so it's opening it up for discussion since you decided to take my picture. That resident texted me and said, you have a voicemail from them. Where do you get off having the arrogance to just put your signs in this township anywhere you want without the owner's permission? That owner didn't give you permission. You stuck your card in their door and you put your sign on their property. I don't think any of these guys were that low to do that. I'm just shocked at where we have become, and I'm disappointed that you would go do that and be that disrespectful. That resident is hot, highly upset. I think that they should charge you for being on their property, putting stuff without their permission. But she addressed it with you. I sent her your cell number. You have a voicemail. Please file a police report with Union Township that I ripped your sign down at the permission, explicit permission of the owner. I was asked to throw it in the garbage. At least maybe the decency to bring it back to you. So you can be all upset and pissed off all you want, but don't put signs where they don't belong in this township just because you want to win an election. And that's not the first one that's coming down, brother. I'm going to keep getting them down because these residents, when they hear what you've done in this case to the residents in this township, you know, it is what it is. You created this mess, Mike. We tried to give you advice. You created this nightmare. It's all on you. And now Tammy's running, and I'll tell you why she's running, because I asked her to run. You're not going to win this easy, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. And last one I got is Ms. Brinkman. Ms. Brinkman, come on up. Good evening, Ms. Brinkman.
Hello. Tammy Brinkman, 4759 Summerside Road. My addressing you is going to be less spirited. and Mr. Thomas.
That's okay.
As everybody on the board or on the podium knows, I'm running for trustee, and learning more about the operations and asking questions of people. I was surprised when I was provided with the legal fees and expenditures of the township over the last 3 years. And I thought it was important for me to share this, what I found, so that the audience here, the community at large that's perhaps watching online, would know what the fees look like. In 2021, and this is before you hired Brody Conover with Bricker and Eckler, you spent $103,000 on legal fees. In 2022, that increased by 150% to $151,000. Year-to-date 2023, and this is payable through maybe mid-August, you're on track to be greater than $200,000 in fees. And I was really taken aback by that, because I think one of the things that Mrs. Ayers brought to the table, as described by each of you, that she has a legal background. And bringing that to the board was going to save us in legal fees, and obviously that has not occurred. So I wanted to make sure that that was kind of addressed, and I look forward to hearing some explanation as to why the fees may have gone up 150% and 200% more than the year before you hired Brody. And the last thing that I'd like to say is, as a member of the West Clermont School Board, and having served this community for many years, I'd like to extend a very heartfelt thank you to Chief Dimling for all he's done for the students of our district, for our staff and our buildings. You have been the one person in our community we could consistently depend on, and know without a doubt you had every one of us in your heart and mind in all decisions. And when you showed up, we always felt comfort in knowing that you were there. So thank you for your years of service for Union Township. You are very much appreciated and will be very missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brinkman. And I only got these 2 cards. Last call. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on public comments tonight? Please. Oh, is it for public comments? Yeah, it's okay. Just state your name and address for the record, Sergeant.
But tonight I'm here, and I want to recognize the fact that the township trustees and the township staff in general has done an excellent job with Mount Moriah Cemetery. It has a very dear spot to me and my family because my parents are buried there. Additionally, I didn't realize that I was attending Chief Dimling's last meeting tonight. In 11 more days, I'll be able to call him the same thing I did 53 years ago, Stan, the kid next door. And in that regard, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Hartman. Anyone else? Last call. Oh, okay, please. Oh, yes, please, come on up. Ms. Fraley, I didn't recognize you with the haircut. If you could please just state your name and address for the record.
I'm Linda Fraley. My address is 4555 Citation Court. I'm also your county auditor. We just did a press release that the state did finalize our values. I know that's very important. There's been a lot of information going out, and some of it has been in the zealous of some people getting the information out. They said taxes was going to be 43%, and that's not, that's not true. But I just want people to know that we have got a lot of information on our website, and please go to that website. And we've been try to give as many tools as we possibly could. Got a map, people could go right to their property and see what the value, even though we won't have the exact taxes, there's levies on the ballot, this thing. But I just wanted to, because of you being the largest township, I just wanted to come out and let you know, because people are asking, they'll ask their local officials, and I just wanted to provide that, because we've all talked about generalities. Go to the website and you can get specific with your partial. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Fraley, very much. Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comments tonight? You pass this down, Ms. Ayers. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public comments. Moving on to personnel actions. All right, gentlemen, bittersweet. I'm going to entertain a motion for the approval of the appointment of Mr. Mark Fife to the position of Acting Chief in the Union Township Fire Department, temporarily commencing on September 21st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Gentlemen, any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Chief? Sir? Could you please give us your last fire department report, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Dills. For
Yes,
the
sir.
month of August of 2023, the department made 168 fire and service calls, 535 emergency medical responses with 518 total patients. We've made 392 transports to local hospitals, completed 1,032 man-hours in training. We're involved in 28 public education details. We had 69 and a half hours of EMT and medic ride-along with our paramedic units. Completed 13 life safety inspections and completed 11 inspections with the building department. And I'd also just wanted to note that coming up on September 19th is Police and Fire Night at Great American Ballpark at the Reds game. I'm proud to announce that the Union Township Honor Guard is going to be representing the fire service in the region, presenting the colors before and during the national anthem, and representing the police, law enforcement, will be the Clermont County Sheriff's Office. So our Honor Guard, in conjunction with the Clermont County Sheriff's Office, will be presenting the colors at that game. I think that's a high honor and speaks volumes when both of the agencies from Clermont County are representing the region for Police and Fire Night at the ballpark. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Gentlemen, do you have anything for Chief Diamond? Mr. Luke?
No, thank you very much, Chief.
All right, moving on to our police department. Chief Reese, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Dills. In the month of August, the Communications Center handled 5,176 calls for service for police, fire, EMS, and 5,367 total calls. We processed 506 juvenile and adult court-related documents for the courts. Processed 135 court notices for officers' personal appearance in court. Processed 12 Rule 16s for the prosecutor's office. Issued 2 vendor permits and handled 202 public records requests. In the area of public affairs and crime prevention, officers conducted 5 public relations events during the month of August, including a women's self-defense class, 3 K-9 demonstrations, and the Honor Guard presenting the colors at the Pierce Township Police Department's National Night Out, as well as our own night out. In the area of operations, the Patrol Division took 329 incident reports, 129 crash reports, made 720 traffic stops, issued 193 citations, 596 written warnings, made 127 criminal arrests, 89 traffic arrests, and served 109 warrants. In the area of training, officers attended 80 hours of training for the month of August. Also want to note, it was a particularly difficult month, but I'm very proud again of our patrol and our investigative division. I'm sure many of you know about the homicide investigation we had on August 24th on Powderhorn Drive, a very unfortunate situation. From the time that call came out that afternoon, our our detectives were actually on their way back from Dayton. They were up there investigating an armed robbery that occurred at one of our Southside hotels. And from the Thursday afternoon that they got the call for the homicide to Monday evening, these guys and girls, they operated on very little sleep, and they didn't stop until it was over with. The officers that we had that held the house where the incident happened for almost 4 full days around the clock did exemplary work preserving evidence. As you all know, the case won't see the light of day in court, but I'm very proud of them. And I'm also very happy we got tremendous cooperation from the City of Fairfield Police Department and the Butler County Special Response Team. We, unfortunately, through no fault of our own, we really served up a mess to them on a Saturday night, and they were nothing but professional, and we really appreciate them as well. So a good job done all the way around by our people as well as other people. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Yeah, that was a tough case, and I know you had to man that house for 4 days straight to keep that warrant alive. That's very, I wish Lieutenant Blankenship was here to hear my words, but smart thinking on his part. Great, smart policing right there, so excellent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Becker? Mr. Logue?
No, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Moving on to our service department, our director, Mr. Matt Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Dills. In the cemetery division, from August 1st through the 31st, 20 burials were performed, generating $10,250. 20 resident graves were purchased, generating $11,000. 2 non-resident graves were purchased, generating $3,000, and 10 columbarium niches were purchased, generating $9,000. 3 cremation scattering gardens were purchased, generating $1,500. The total amount generated for the period was $38,624.40. In the roads division, a total of 39 work orders were successfully completed on township roads, and the road crew staff also trimmed trees and bushes in the right-of-way on a total of 20 township roads. And in the parks division, staff continues to do seasonal maintenance to the grounds and landscape areas, and staff members set up and work the amphitheater concerts as well as the end of summer fireworks event. So, and that concludes my report.
Mr. Cello, thank you very much. Your team did a fine job manning the fireworks, and I mean, that's the thing, is everyone else goes home and does whatever, and our team has to stay after and do the cleanup and all that safety work. And I saw Chief and Assistant Chief both out there, checking out the woods and making sure everything was safe, and so I just appreciate you guys very much. So I know you guys did a lot of work.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Becker? Mr. Logue?
No, thank you very much.
Moving on to our planning and zoning, our development director, Mr. Mark McCormick, sir.
For the month of August, for inspections and violations, we had 61 inspections, 13 complaints, 7 unfounded complaints, 6 warning citations, 3 15-day non-compliance letters, 1 30-day violation letter, no action to the township attorney, 11 cases resolved, 536 illegal signs removed, which is the highest of the year for a month. We have 10 miscellaneous issues, 10 violations for the month, 7 re-inspections and violations, and 1 nuisance filed. As far as permit activity, we had 5 commercial permits, 8 changes of use, which again is I noted that is the highest of the year. 6 signs, 2 temporary trailers and 1 temporary sign, 12 single-family dwellings, no multifamily dwellings, 4 additions, 1 deck, 3 accessory permits, 11 permits for pools and/or fences, bringing the total to 53 permits for the month. The total revenue for the month was $29,377, and the fire department revenue for the month was $1,480, and the total revenue for the year stands for planning and zoning at $112,677.
Mr. McCormick, I got a question.
Yes.
So I'm actually just curious, just for generality purposes, both candidates in here, it's election season, just in general, even with school board, what's our typical rule of thumb for political signs on, public areas?
So if they're in the right-of-way, they're really not supposed to be there at all.
Okay.
If they're on private property, as long
Oh,
as,
yeah, that's
as long as
private
they're
property.
not
Yeah.
creating a line of sight problem, I don't think that would be an issue unless there's a very large sign perhaps.
Yeah, okay. Okay, fair enough. All right, perfect. No, good job. Thank you, sir. Mr. Becker, do you have anything?
No.
Mr. Logue?
No, thank you.
Good, okay. All right, perfect. And moving on, our last department report is going to be our administrator, Ms. Susan Ayers. Ms. Ayers?
Thank you, sir. Open checkbook is up to date through August 31st. Development is continuing on Glen State campus land. You'll notice there is, I believe, the first framing of buildings going back there, so we're excited to see that moving forward. Done a lot of work this month on the Eastgate Mall. We've been working with MSP to continue our master planning, and then, as most people have heard, the interior portion of the mall that was previously owned by a bank through a foreclosure sale was sold to the Hull Property Group of Augusta, Georgia. Hull has been up here a couple of times, and they are working their process on what will happen next. They have been very proactive in approaching us and trying to work with us, as well as the master planning process, to help get together a common vision for the mall site. This does not change the plans of MSP moving forward. There is anticipated public outreach sessions the week of October the 9th. So that will be spread out throughout the week and throughout different locations around the township. Keep an eye on the website, our website for dates and times officially, but it'll be a few different times the week of October the 9th. Unfortunately, road work continues. We did open up the first section of I Colts Road, so we were happy to see that, and the new roundabout there. Construction continues on 32, as well as Rumkey and Old 74. There should be some more openings here in October, and then a fair amount that will open around the Thanksgiving timeframe.
Perfect.
So we appreciate everyone's pain, but we're continuing to work through it as quickly as possible. Growing pains can be difficult. I just wanted to tell the staff and everyone thank you for the cooperation with all the summer events. Like we mentioned before, that fireworks requires a lot of work from a lot of staff members and a lot of late nights, and so I appreciate that and how smoothly everything has gone. Last event for the season will be the 16th for lantern lighting at Mount Moriah Cemetery, so we are looking forward to a nice evening there. We also discussed previously, bond refinancing for the township. We are now, instead of refinancing annually, have a more traditional time on refinancing debt. We achieved that at a competitive interest rate of 3.98%. So this will be standard payment terms, and we won't have to refinance every year and incur those fees. Zoning department continues to work on text amendments and updating the zoning resolution, so please keep an eye on it. If there are any additional changes we'd like to see, please let us know. Have had some employee turnover, as well as trying to get back positions that we previously had not filled. I posted a position for engagement manager. We received, I think, about 85 applications, so it was a great response to that posting. We're pleased to see that. We will be starting interviews. I'm hopefully be calling people the rest of this week to get interviews set up. We also posted this afternoon a planner job. Mr. Flouty is leaving us in a few weeks to go to Butler County, so we were sad to see him go, but looking forward to seeing what new applications come in. And then we will be working on the fire chief opening soon as well. So it has been a busy month there, but we are working through it. Looking forward to getting the engagement manager hired. That will be a mix of internal and external communication, with the idea that we want to be very forthcoming with both our employees and our internal clients, but also our external residents and the community members we serve. So that person will be responsible for things like the newsletter, the websites, the external communication we send out, any press contacts, but also some internal communications and making sure our employees have the best information in the most timely manner. So we're looking forward to getting that taken care of. I'm also working on, now that we finished a lot of our summer events, working on a new survey to go out to residents about summer events, and then we had the question previously about fireworks and regulations we may want to consider in the future. So if you have any additional items that you'd like to see some feedback on, we'd be happy to take that. The next newsletter draft is at the printers. They're working on a draft at the moment, so hopefully we'll see that going out here soon. And I think that's all I have at the moment.
Sarah's excellent work. And biggest splash fireworks, obviously, is the Eastgate Mall purchase. I love it. It's great. Miss Ayers and I met with those folks before they bought the property. I like them. They're open. They understand this is a family community, and they're excited to engage in the community. They're excited to engage in our master developer, planning developer, and they want to see what the public wants to do with that mall. So there's no real answer as to what's going to happen with it yet, but all options are on the table. Good news is we got the ball rolling on Eastgate Mall, and hey, that's just exciting. Mr. Becker, do you have anything?
No.
Mr. Logan?
Yeah, Ms. Ayers, I had a quick question for you. So as we're approaching, we'll be coming up, I'd say in the winter time frame, maybe about a 2-year mark with contracts and firms like Bricker and Eckler. Do we want to do market research, or what's the type of schedule that you want to look at? And I say that from the example of, I know when we brought them on board, our market research showed West Clermont School Board has Bricker and Eckler hired at $315 an hour, and I know we got them for $265 an hour. And historically speaking, we also don't pay them benefits, like Opers, our former law director, was a contract but retired with a pension from Union Township. So what do we need to be paying attention to in the spring, winter time frame next year for market research analysis?
We can certainly look at what similarly sized townships are doing. Legal services are one of those things that it's unfortunate to have to pay, but it is a sign of how much we are getting done and moving forward. You know, having low legal fees usually means you're not getting much accomplished, so it's, you know, the double-edged sword, I suppose. We could certainly look at what other similarly sized townships are doing and what some of the other contracts are in the community. I think Bricker has a great reputation and has done great work for us, and so certainly when you pull in that kind of expertise, you do pay $1 for it, and so working through that, but we can certainly provide the board some information and studies on what similar communities are paying for and what they're receiving.
Yeah, and I know this year was an abnormal year with the formal review of 54 TIF districts, of which we were able to improve the negotiated positions on those to get $25 million over the next 30 years. So I know there was some abnormal fees with that TIF review, but no, I think that's a good perspective. So no, thanks for putting that on the radar for next spring.
Sure.
Thank you. Good, thank you.
All right, moving on to our public hearings. And this is for Union Township zoning case 5-23-0 as an Oscar. And before we begin, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. McCormick. Now, Mr. McCormick, you don't have any monitors, correct? So
Look like it.
just do the best you can, and if you want to, you want to do some finger painting so we can see? Just kidding. So just do the best you can with what you got. Appreciate it,
Okay.
sir.
I will say this might be the best PowerPoint I ever made, but no one's gonna get to see it.
I'm sure it is. We'll all look at it in our spare time, so.
Okay. So nature of the request is an overlay district plan review. The property involved is 983 State Route 125, parcel ID 414132A as in alpha 026. The overlay district plan for that parcel is for the potential modernization and expansion of a vehicle fueling station with a convenience retail component. And part of that retail component is potentially to include a drive-through on the 2.414 acre parcel, which is located within the Ohio Pike Focus Area Overlay Commercial Corridor. As I mentioned, the site's at 983 State Route 125 on the southeastern corner of State Route 125 and the Bennett Road intersection. State Route 125 is a principal arterial 5-lane roadway, which includes the one left turn lane in the center, with a traffic volume of approximately 29,200 trips a day in that area. Bennett Road is a local 2-lane roadway, township maintained, with no known traffic counts. As far as the zoning of the subject property, it is zone B1, with the property to the northeast, east, and west also zone B1 business for the underlying zoning. The property to the south is zone single-family detached residential, and the property to the northwest is zone planned multifamily residential R3. In terms of the relationship to the project to the comprehensive plan, as I mentioned, the state is within the Ohio Pike corridor. And among other things in that area, the plan calls for access control, site development to be conducted in a manner that focuses on maximizing land use efficiency with infill development, reinvestment, and/or redevelopment initiatives. And for commercial redevelopment, the use of traditional building materials, adequate vegetative buffering, landscaping strategies along shared property lines, and landscaping enhancements along the corridor are also required in accordance with the plan. Staff made reference on page 2 to Article 13, Section 1307 regarding the focus overlay commercial corridor districts. And in that section, you'll find the purpose of those districts, the findings related to those districts, the characteristics of those districts. On page 3 of the report, for the background, again, the applicant is planning a approximately 3,928 square foot expansion to the existing primary structure on the property, which was previously used and I think has now been reopened as a vehicle fueling station. Not sure if the convenience retail component is open or not. The proposed new building area, the primary structure, would be a total of 6,628 square feet if everything is built, including the drive-through. In terms of the staff review analysis of the plan, the proposal appears to be consistent with the recommendations of the adopted land use plan, as well as the findings and specific purposes of the overlay district. The applicant has proposed a building consistent of traditional building materials with signage that will ultimately be more compliant with the zoning resolution than the previous signage that existed on the property. So the signage will actually be not quite as tall and will be more in line, if approved, with the 12-foot cap for that area. Parking and driveway areas on the plans appear to be sufficient. The applicant would be adding a sidewalk along 125 for pedestrian connectivity from Bennett Road at that intersection to the eastern portion of the site towards Crescent Drive. The landscaping and buffer plans would ultimately need to be enhanced adjusted along the western property line next to the residential area as well as around the dumpster to meet the township's requirements. And the exterior proposed lighting has been designed so the light leaving the site is very minimal, equal to or less than a residential use, and is noted to be downward directed as required. And in terms of the actions required from the trustees, the role for the trustees per section 1310 of Article 13 of the zoning resolution is to either enter a motion to approve, modify, or deny the overlay district application, along with any potential modifications deemed appropriate by the board. In terms of the recommended modifications, staff, after the revisions were sent in by the applicant, acknowledged that we would need any concerns from the Department of Transportation involved, which is the ODOT, DOT, county engineer, Clermont County Water and Soil District, Clermont County Building Department, including water management and sediment control, fire department, and/or other jurisdictions, or other agencies having jurisdiction over the project. For a particular note for this project, we'd be looking more at the ODOT and the water management portion of the project. And the other items that we have here, the applicant would need to provide more details regarding the landscaping plans, including the heights and sizes recommended along the western edge of the property, as well as the perimeter of the dumpster enclosure. All of the existing landscaping, vegetation that is to remain should be marked as preservation areas, with any vegetation disturbed to be repaired, supplemented, or replaced. This is an item that could be addressed administratively. As I noted earlier, the signage plan would ultimately need to be submitted, and signage would be capped at 12 feet from finished grade, and that would be subject to administrative review and approval. The proposed building materials visible from the western elevation also needs to be brick or stone or an acceptable veneer on any revised plans to match the rest of that side of the building. And that's the part that's visible from Bennett Road. This is something that can be addressed administratively by staff. The other items were very minor. As of September 6th, we had a couple items as far as the making a little bit better distinguishable vicinity map and noting that a commercial zoning permit would ultimately need to be applied for and submitted for this project. I did have, the only thing I am not able to show you other than the maps that we made and the slides with the text is the pictures of the site. But for those of you who may be familiar with this site, it was formerly a gas station. It is set vacant for a number of years. It was being used for storage, some of which may have been authorized by the previous owner, and some of which I don't think was authorized by the previous owner. At one point in time here recently, it was an enforcement case. In the last several months, the new owner and perhaps the previous owner removed different items, including a couch, a boat, various refuse, and also cut down some of the vegetation that was obstructing line of sight there at the intersection. So, yeah, any questions that you have for me?
Mr. Baker?
No.
Mr. Logan?
No, thank you.
Mr. McCormick, is this, are these new, just for the sake of clarity so everyone understands, are these new owners or are these existing owners?
New owner.
Great. And what was, I know it's a gas station, what was that gas station called? Do you have any idea?
I think it was a Sunoco. No, it wasn't a Sunoco.
Valero, that's right, Valero. Okay. Just to put it in layman's terms so everyone understands, we're talking about the Valero on Beachmont Avenue, 125. Yeah, the old Valero. Okay. And it's the gas station, the convenience store is currently not active, is that correct?
It is reopened very recently. I don't know if they're
Oh, okay.
fully operational or not, but they came in and got the change of use to get it reopen.
Fair enough. I'm sure we'll talk to Mr. Herman in a second, get that clarity. Okay, perfect. And then, and this is what they want their new building to look like?
Yeah, in the packet I gave you tonight, that was the newer set of materials, so that is
And
the
it's-
newer elevations.
And is this, we talked about this at our working session. Is this, I know we haven't approved those new rules as of yet. I think it's later on. So, but is this meet those new rules?
So the visible elevations are going to be brick veneer.
Okay.
And we find that to be acceptable. There is one little part of the west elevation, I think, where they had shown some metal, I think to be metal siding. We were wanting that to be entirely brick veneer. The back portion of the building and the portion that's on the east side will not be that visible from 125 because of the vegetation that's there.
Sure. Is this also, so it looks like a convenience store and also a drive-through?
Yes, and I'm not entirely sure if they are 100% wanting the drive-through still. That's something that the applicant will have to address. I think that's initially what they wanted, and there was a little bit of a drawback to that the last time we talked, where they weren't so sure that was going to happen. But I think they went ahead and kept it in there in case they wanted to keep it in there for the long term.
So obviously, no one's eyes are very good, but our monitors are working for clarity's sake. Here's what these plans look like. And in case anybody wants to speak for or against this case, we'll do that here in just a moment. But, and you can also feel free, I'll go ahead and if anyone wants to come up and look at this before they talk, speak, you're more welcome to as well, just obviously because our screens aren't working. So got to do a little old school today. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and, where is my agenda? I'm going to go ahead and open up this zoning case. This is a public hearings case for Union Township zoning case 5-23-O as an Oscar. So with that, I'm going to open up for anybody that is a proponent of this zoning case that is for it. Come on up and speak, and I'm going to go and swear you in. Mr. Hartman, you know the drill. Good to see you. Mr. Hartman, you state your, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God, yes.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. Mark, as usual, has done a very thorough job of reviewing our application. And when we first started this process, Keaton Patel had an option to purchase this. Since then, though, he's eliminated that option and has purchased the property. So he is the owner of the property currently. During his short ownership now, he's done a lot. He's cleaned up the community parking lot of tractor trailers and every other thing that was parked over there, including a boat. The boat went sailing off someplace else. The couch that was over there is taking a new residency. And he's taken, and just recently had somebody in there to take care of the wild honeysuckle and everything that grew along the road. He's had much positive comment from the community about what he has accomplished. What we have here tonight is an opportunity to upgrade a building that was built in 1996. Since then, you know, it's been a vacant building for some period of time now. Now, I can tell you, Keaton, a small businessman, but has the experience to make this a successful development. He has 5 properties, not only in Union Township, but he's got properties in Batavia, Pierce Township, ready to open one up in Brown County, excuse me. He's got me all over the place. And one in Miami Township. So he does have the experience to run this as a business, successful business. And you can see some of his recent developments are very good quality in that regard. What we have here tonight, like I said, is an opportunity to take an outdated building, modernize it, and bring it up to current standards. The staff report is, we find no objection to any of the recommendations of Mark and his staff, and we hope you concur, and we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you.
Keaton is here, can also address any questions you have.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Patel.
All right.
Mr. Baker, do you have anything?
No.
Mr. Logan?
Good, thank you.
Mr. Patel, you don't have to come up here, and but Mr. Hartman, both of you, I like the plans, and Mr. McCormick, because we haven't officially adopted our new rules yet for new construction, but it looks like it does meet those. And I see you said you're putting a new sidewalk in. Yeah, I'm more of a, let's keep it real kind of thing. The property did not look good. It was a dump site,
You're right.
actually, and it was embarrassing to our township. Thank you for investing in our community. It's a good flip. I love it. I'm glad to get all that stuff out of there. It's a beautiful property, and I appreciate you doing that and investing in our community. So just know that you got our full support. So
I like to
appreciate
say the boat sailed away.
that. Yeah, well said. Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Appreciate
Okay,
that.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that is a proponent of this case? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone that is in opposition to this case? Okay, seeing none, we'll go and close it. And gentlemen, open it up for trustee comments. Mr. Becker,
I love it.
well said.
As you said, Mr. Chairman, this has been an eyesore for a long time. We've had a lot of complaints about this property over the years, so something's been difficult to deal with. And with new ownership, they've cleaned it up, taken care of it, and speaking for the township, everybody really appreciates it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, well said. Mr. Logue, sir?
Yeah, no, I think it's great to improve the property, so I'm with you. I've got nothing further to add. You guys hit it.
Great. Mr. Patel, love it. You got our full support, and if there's anything we can do to help you, let us know. We want to be friends. I appreciate you making that happen, and that's one of our goals. We did a survey to clean up, properties that are worn down, to put it nicely.
They're outdated.
And that's, yeah, we'll use that word too. And so we are making that our goal. You're helping us achieve that goal. We appreciate you. And so I've got absolutely zero objections to this, and if we can help you out in any way at all, let us know. Even that means getting out of the way and letting you do your job. So, absolutely. So, all right, gentlemen, seeing no further comments, I'm going to entertain a motion for Union Township zoning case 5-23-O as an Oscar, request for overlay district plan approvals for parcels number 414132A as an alpha 026, totaling 2.414 acres in the Ohio Pike Focus Area Overlay Commercial Corridor at or near 983 State Route 125.
So moved.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Campbell, would you give us a roll call?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Thank you, Mr. Hartman.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mr.
you very
Patel.
much.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman.
Okay, what do we do? Gentlemen, next item is old business. Any old business to discuss? Old business? Nope, we're okay. Okay. Moving on to new business. Nice playing tricks. Okay.
7:14.
Yeah, doing much better time than I thought.
Doing great.
All right. New business, our consent agenda. All right, bear with me. This is a faster way of doing this, but I have to read off a lot. Gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion for our consent agenda. It's for the approval of minutes from August 8, 2023 regular meeting minutes, August 8, 2023 zoning minutes, August 22nd, 2023 working session meeting minutes, approval of payments as prepared by Mr. Ron Campbell, our fiscal officer, approval of monthly financial report as prepared by our Ron Campbell, our fiscal officer, authorized township administrator enter into Center for Local Government Mutual Aid Agreement for Service, and finally, they established the Halloween I guess you call it Beggars Night in the township for October 31st, Halloween 2023, from 6 to 8 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to our motion agenda. Approval of purchase orders exceeding $10,000. Ms. Ayers, could you take that over?
Yes, sir. First matter we have is Clermont County Treasurer for the second half health charges, $23,310.20. Duke Energy for $40,000, a 3-month estimate for gas and electric at the Civic Center. Barry Brown Paving for Klepper Park pickleball courts, $435,000. Then, before I get into these, the next section are going to be TIF settlement payments. So the first ones are to schools that we have agreements to repay from the TIF collection funds, and then we have a section that are developer agreement based, so these are all going to be TIF funds. First being West Clermont Local Schools, second half TIF payment, $1,652,769.25. Great Oaks Career Development Academy, second half TIF payment, $38,661.92. Batavia Local Schools TIF payment, $30,459.26. Milford Board of Education, second half TIF settlement payment, $945,742.75. Clermont Northeastern Local Schools, second half TIF payment $69,848.49. Those include the school payments. Then we have the developer-based payments. Redwood Living, second half TIF payment $73,862.68. Trilogy Investors LLC, second half TIF payments for the Trilogy Assisted Living, $22,949.51. Echelon by 360 LLC, Phase 2 Echelon Community, $19,557.09. Echelon, next one also for Echelon by 360 LLC for Phase 1 of the Echelon Community, $49,721.28. That'll conclude the TIF payments. And then we also have Decca International for an annual maintenance agreement, $20,201. Atlantic Emergency Solutions for parts and services, $46,000. Zones Incorporated for patrol vehicle docks and power adapters, $15,413.97. Fleet Core Technologies for fuel usage in the police department, 2 months, $16,000. Rumpke of Ohio, support of fall junk days, $25,000.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. And gentlemen, Mr. Becker, questions?
Nope.
Mr. Logue?
No?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of purchase orders exceeding $10,000 as recommended by our township administrator.
So moved.
Second.
See no further discussion. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, adoption for new rules and regulations for Mount Moriah Cemetery. And Mr. Taylor, I'm going to throw you on the spot here. I did not ask you this, but anything you'd like to discuss on this?
Nothing out of the norm. There isn't anything new. There isn't any new information that the board hasn't already seen from the previous work session.
Great.
Everything is the same.
Okay, perfect. Yep, got nothing. Okay. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion to adopt the new rules and regulations for Mount Moriah Cemetery.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Gentlemen, I entertain a motion for the adoption of the new rates for the service at Mount Moriah Cemetery.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And last item on the motion agenda is our adoption of alcohol on township property. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion for the authorized alcohol to be served on township-owned property when prior written approval of the township administrator and new written policy to be developed by the township administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And then before we move on, because I know sometimes folks leave before it gets too late, I always appreciate elected officials being here. Our auditor, Ms. Linda Fraley, and our county commissioner, Dave Painter, thank you for attending. It means a lot that you take your time out of your lovely evening to be here. Appreciate that, both of you. Thank you. All right, next item is our legislative agenda. First one is our resolution accepting budget commission and the amounts and rates. Ms. Ayers, would you like to take that over, please?
Yes, sir. This is one of those annual resolutions we see, allows us to take the budget commission amounts and the rates for taxes assessed for the next year, adopt them, and send it forward to the county and state as necessary, justifies our tax levies for the next year.
Fair enough. Thank you. And gentlemen, I entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-36, resolution accepting the budget commission amounts and rates.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next resolution, Ms. Ayers, same thing, a nuisance abatement.
Yes, this is the property located 557 Glen Rose Lane. It's largely debris and some refuse that needs to be cleaned up from the yard. Mr. Berkey's been out multiple times trying to work with the residents, offer any supportive services, information about junk days, things like that. Have been unable to make any headway. So this would authorize the abatement after the appropriate time. If the parties choose to clean it up before then, they will not be done. This just gives the authorization. Then the cost will be assessed to taxes pursuant to statute.
Okay, understand completely. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-37, resolutions for nuisance abatement. I'm going to make sure I read this correctly. For section, let's see, to remove authorization for control removal of vegetation, garbage, refuse, and debris pursuant to section 505.87 of the Ohio Revised Code at the following property, 557 Glen Rose Lane, Cincinnati, Ohio 45244.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Please, go ahead.
I did a drive-by this property today, and I concur with our inspector's opinion.
Yep.
That it's a problem. Also, I looked this up. Typically, I look up addresses, Google Maps, just so I know where I'm going. And the image was, I think it was like from 2022, it was over a year ago. It was a mess then, too. So apparently, there's been some history of this property.
Yeah.
That's all.
And I know, I've talked to Mr. Berkey many, many times, and we always do our due diligence, make sure there's nobody that's needing aid, senior citizens, things like that. So I know he's done his homework on this. Mr. Logan, anything?
No?
Great. See if there's no further discussion. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next resolution is adopting text amendments to the Union Township zoning resolution. Ms. Ayers? Sorry. Ms. Ayers.
No problem, sir. I'm actually in a tag team with Mr. McCormick. We've been working on amendments to the zoning resolution. We have two that have been to the zoning commission and are here tonight for your consideration and approval. Mr. McCormick, if you want to explain what's before the board.
Yes, so at the August 23rd zoning commission meeting, the zoning commission forwarded unanimous favorable recommendations for two of the four sections of the code that we were working on. The first that you're seeing tonight is from Article 5 regarding general provisions, specifically Section 532 regarding the parking and storage of vehicles and trailers, and this has directly to do with some of the issues that the trustees have mentioned in the last couple of months. The second is regarding Article 7 from supplemental district regulations regarding a new section, Section 718, regarding permitted accessory uses in residential districts with no permit required. So I'm going to go over both of these. The first one is an existing section. The proposed text that would be new has been gray and highlighted and italicized. The proposed text to be stricken is struck through, bold, italicized, and highlighted as well. The issue for this particular item is that there basically were trustees and others that were expressing that there were potentially certain circumstances where, one may find vehicles that are used, or at least partially, if not substantially, for commercial purposes that are acceptable on residential property for a certain length of time. And so we were trying to address those concerns and also address the fact that there are no current explicit references for the parking and keeping of commercial vehicles on commercial or industrial zone property. So Section 532, as you see, we are proposing to strike number 1 and add a new number 1, and it would read, parking of vehicles accessory to a residential use shall be limited to those vehicles actually used by the resident for personal use, agricultural use, or temporary parking for guests. And I'll pause there because that would also include someone who might be at your house to perform work. And that's where we were covering that particular item. So that's guests for people that are visiting. It's also a guest that might be there to perform work, who isn't going to be staying there overnight necessarily. The next sentence from number 1, vehicles not in keeping with residential character shall not be permitted. Number 2 of that would renumber the ones that are in there currently at number 2. No truck, van, construction equipment, or other vehicle of a business or industrial nature shall be parked upon a residential lot except the following: a vehicle that is owned by the resident of the property or the resident's business or place of employment and is used by the resident on the job as well as a source of transportation to and from work. A pickup truck not to exceed 14,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating and 23 feet in length with a standard bed, special boxes, or cap not to exceed a total height of 8 feet. No tow truck, stake body, or dump truck will be parked on a residential lot. Both this one and the next one, the weight are proposed to be the same for the trucks and the passenger van that's going to be there in the next item. The length of the vehicle is determined by the largest truck that is out there. One of our zoning commission members had done some research and given us that number. We originally had it at 20 feet, I think. The third item of that number 2, a passenger van not to exceed 14,000 pounds, gross vehicle weight rating, and 20 feet in length No step van or chassis van shall be parked on a residential lot without approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals. And this subsection is not applicable for vans that are for persons with disabilities. That way, if someone's hauling something in the back of a large van for a wheelchair or something, they're covered. Proposed item number 3, in no case shall residential zone parcel be used for parking or storing of a semi-trailer or tractor. Numbers 4 and 5 currently exist, but are other numbers within section 532. Number 6 is another existing item, and what we're proposing there is it currently states a maximum of 1 boat, it says non-commercial, which we're proposing to strike, 1, it would make it all-purpose trailer, or 1 recreational vehicle, and we're proposing adding having a current license and appearing to be operable shall, and then we continue with the existing text, be stored on a paved driveway or in the rear yard of any residentially zoned property if the boat, trailer, or recreational vehicle which we replaced has a current license and appears to be operable text, and moved it up. So it would say if the boat, trailer, or RV otherwise meets the requirements for travel on any public or private street or thoroughfare and meets the setback requirements of this resolution for accessory structures. And then we struck out on the screen according to the resolution requirements of the, because at this point there isn't a screening requirement for that would be applicable for vehicles in this scenario. Items 7 and 8 would be new, and these would be addressing the vehicles on commercial and/or industrial property. We do not have these in here at this time. This was something that the previous staff had drafted, and we kind of worked with it and reworded it a bit. It says number 7, no boat, trailer, or recreational vehicle may be parked on a commercially or industrially zoned property for a period of more than 24 hours unless such vehicle is owned, operated, stored, and/or maintained in conjunction with an approved, lawfully permitted use on the property which allows the short-term or long-term storage of boats, trailers, or other recreational vehicles. Number 8, no commercial vehicle, including but not limited to commercial tractors, trucks, automobiles, buses, house trailers, or semi-trailers shall be parked or stored on any commercial or industrial zone property except for vehicles owned, operated, stored, and/or maintained in conjunction with approved, lawfully permitted business uses on the commercially or industrially zoned property. Nothing in this resolution shall prevent the parking or storage of commercial vehicles that are conveying the necessary tools, inventory, materials, and/or equipment to a location where inventory is sold or stored in conjunction with the business uses, or where labor using such tools, materials, and equipment is to be performed during the actual time of parking. And that concludes proposed amendments to section 532. Any questions on that one?
Mr. McCormick, well done. I know that was a lot of work. So to put it in layman's terms, how do I say this? Our old resolution with commercial vehicles, lettered vehicles, was silly. It was absolutely ridiculous. It made no sense to me at all. And when we discovered it, we all basically knew it had to be changed. Let me break this down for you. If you have a minivan, everyone has minivans, well, some of us do, and then you throw some lettering or a magnet on it and you want to start a cleaning service, that vehicle is now illegal to be parked in your driveway in Union Township. That's a ridiculous rule for us to prevent folks from doing business and having a job. If you had a Ford F-150 or a Dodge 1500 truck or van or anything like that, and no lettering, legal. Any lettering, illegal. I can't stress enough how silly this rule was, and so what we did was, to make sure we did our due diligence on it, we had contacted and did our homework with the surrounding townships to see what everyone did, Anderson, Pierce, Miami, and all, Batavia. And they all have similar rules to this, and we're the only ones that made it basically illegal. We're the only ones. And so, again, ridiculous. But 14,000 pounds seems to be the sweet spot. And to put that in perspective, that is roughly a Ford F-350 or a Chevy 3500. Is that correct? Reason why, and that's what everyone else basically does. But also, in order to tow a boat or an RV, you need to have about a Ford F-350 or a Chevy 3500 or a Dodge 3500. That's fair and reasonable. But again, you take a Toyota Camry or any simple basic vehicle and you throw letters on it, it was illegal in Union Township. So, and we're preventing people from being able to conduct business with this current resolution. So this new one's a good thing for our residents, and should have been passed a long time ago. That's all I got to say about it. Well, actually, I'm sorry. I guess I should have opened it up for entertain a motion second. Well, my apologies, gentlemen. I'm going out of turn here. So, gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-38, resolution adopting text amendments in the Union Township zoning resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Gentlemen, my apologies. Any discussion?
I just want to echo what the chairman said.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, echoing that, I reached out to Mr. Tronkovich, who was part of public comment before on this. I know he appreciate hearing and seeing this get passed. And, I've been talking to several residents across the township over the last couple of weeks, indicating and finding out their perspective is, and they think it's as mind-boggling as we do. And this is just something great to deliver more freedom to the residents of Union Township. So happy to do it and happy to see the support here.
And I know when we say the word commercial vehicles, people automatically think, oh, dump trucks, semi-trucks, big rigs. That is not what we're doing here. That is not what this is. You can't be, parking, garbage dump trucks in your driveway. That's not what this is. This isn't parking tractor trailers in your driveway. This is simply 3,500, 14,000 pounds, F-350, Chevy 3,500s, or less is what this is. And then any vehicle that's got a magnet on it or some lettering on it is now legal once we vote on this. So just so we're crystal clear on this. Ms. Ayers, you want to say something?
Yes, prior to calling for a vote, Mr. McCormick did go over the first part of this. There is a second part of it in your packet prior to vote. Just wanted to go over briefly. It does
Please.
add some additional information in section 718 of the zoning code that allows for some additional items without permit required. It allows for gardening, firewood, patios not enclosed, walkways, stoneways, swing sets, children's play structures, et cetera, as well as beekeeping on lots without permits. So provides some additional clarity on those matters as well. So just wanted to make sure we were clear that this resolution as it's written addresses those two issues, the commercial vehicles as well as these additional housing uses that we would like to allow without a permit.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Ayers. Gentlemen, any further discussion? We're good? Great. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next resolution is a resolution requesting Clermont County Commissioners to prohibit construction of large-scale solar and wind facilities in Union Township. Ms. Ayers, can you explain that, please?
Yes, sir. And thank you, Commissioner Painter, for being here. You'll see this later. The Ohio Revised Code sets out that the county commissioners can effectively prohibit the construction of large-scale solar and wind farms on unincorporated areas. So this is asking the county commissioners to take up the matter in Union Township. There has been a lot of discussion about large-scale wind farms, solar farms, and whether that is the best use of the land that we have remaining in the township. What you were making a decision on here is to say to the county commissioners that we believe this is not, those large-scale farms are not in the best interest of the land use for the township at this point in time. I want to be very clear that this does not include things for personal homes. So if there's a home that wants to put solar on the roof, we certainly don't want to get in the way of that. This is asking the commissioners to prohibit the large-scale solar and wind farms that take up a lot of significant amount of land when there's still some concern for environmental remediation when the farms age, and whether that's the best land use for the township.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. I don't see this being an issue here in Union Township. There's not much farmland left. This is more of an Adams County, Brown County type of concern, but still, you never know. Someone could buy up a lot of land, property, buildings, tear them down and put up solar farms, so it does prevent that. It does not prevent anybody using solar on their roofs, like typical residential solar. Actually, I'm a big proponent of that. It's just large scale, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I see no problem with that. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for Ms. Ayers? No, see none? Okay, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-39, resolution requesting Clermont County Commissioners to prohibit the construction of large-scale solar and wind facilities in Union Township.
So moved.
Second.
See no further discussion?
Yeah, I
Please,
do
please, please.
want to make a comment. So, Mr. Chairman, I regularly attend Clermont County Township Association meetings. This has been kind of a hot topic for a while. One of the meetings in particular was out in Bethel, so I believe it's Tate Township. Farm Bureau was out there, gave a presentation, and there's, at least from what I can tell from talking to trustees and fiscal officers, people attending these meetings, there's a lot of the community just up in arms about these solar farms and want to keep it banned. Didn't know if this was really going to be an issue in Union Township or not with, because of the cost of property here versus, going further east. And, but I think it's a good move to get ahead of it. So I fully support this.
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Becker. Mr. Luke, do you have anything?
No, appreciate it.
Great. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Let's see, Resolution 2023-40, resolution approving the overlay district plan for area of 4543 Yates Lane. Ms. Harris?
Yes, sir. If I may, I'm going to talk about the next three as a group, and then we can vote individually. But as we started at some of our recent meetings, this is approving and formalizing your decisions from the zoning hearings at the last meeting. So the next three will be effectively memorializing the decisions that you already made in the zoning cases that we held at the August meeting.
Perfect. Okay. Gentlemen, any questions for Ms. Harris? Okay. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-40, resolution approving the overlay district plan for area of 4543 Yates Lane.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And Ms. Sayers, I'm assuming F and G are basically the same thing, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I don't need you to explain those two, do I?
I would not
Okay.
imagine so.
All right, great. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-41, resolution approving the overlay district plan for area of 4630 Eichholz Road.
So moved.
Second.
Gentlemen, any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And it looks like this is the last one of this item. Resolution 2023-42, resolution approving overlay district plan area for 4414 Eichholz Road.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Resolution authorizing a then and now certificate for payment of expenditures. Ms. Ayers, you want to explain that?
Yes, sir. This is an accounting cleanup. We had an invoice that we received late, and we're authorizing the payment of that to Highland Insurance for the amount of $1,433.
Perfect. You got it. Let me look here. So, gentlemen, I entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-43, resolution authorizing a then and now certificate for payment of expenditures.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And, perfect. Resolution amending the 2023 permanent appropriations resolution. Ms. Ayers?
Yes, sir. Every year, we pass an annual permanent appropriations, which is the board's authorization for the staff to spend money in particular areas. As the year goes on, frequently we have under budgeted in some areas, over budgeted in others. So we move money between accounts and account for money that we didn't intend to receive. So as some of the TIFs and JEDs collect more money than we anticipated, this will amend the permanent appropriations resolution that was previously passed and allow us to spend the money that we've received.
Perfect. Any questions for Ms. Ayers? No? Gentlemen, I entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-44, resolution amending the 2023 permanent appropriations resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and our last resolution of the evening, gentlemen. All right. Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-45. This is resolution honoring the retirement of our beloved chief, Mr. Stan Daimler.
So moved.
Well, let me read it off first, then we'll do that. Sorry, sir.
When you're done reading it, so moved.
Chief? Okay. The Board of Trustees of Union Township would like to honor you, Chief Daimler. Whereas the Union Township Board of Trustees desire to acknowledge and recognize Stanley G. Daimler for his years of dedicated service to the people of Union Township. And whereas Chief Dimling started his service in Union Township in 1978, I was not even born, prior to the consolidation of two private agencies into what we know today as the Union Township Fire Department in 1990. And whereas on January 13th, 1992, Dimling was promoted to the position of chief to the Union Township Fire Department and has served with honor in his position for the last 31 years. And whereas Chief Dimling has earned an exemplary record of credentials, including a Bachelor's of Science in Fire and Safety Engineering from the University of Cincinnati, graduation from the National Fire Academy, Executive Fire Officer Program. Chief Dimling is a certified firefighter, paramedic, fire safety inspector, fire investigator, and canine handler. And whereas Chief Dimling's leadership has been vital to the development of Union Township and the fire department. During his tenure, the department has expanded to encompass 6 fire stations, achieving and maintaining international accreditation since 2004, and achieving an ISO public protection rating of 2 for the township, indicative of the model levels of service provided to our citizens. Whereas Chief Dimling's dedication to Union Township has been unmatched. Union Township is a better place to be because of his dedication to not only the citizens of Union Township, but also the countless employees that have worked with him. This is evident by his continued work on the scene of countless calls for service and emergency situations at all points in his career, serving as a resource for other agencies, and in 2018, overseeing the dedication of the Union Township Fire Service Memorial at Station 51, dedicated to all past, present, and future fire and EMS personnel who serve our community. And whereas this board would like to personally and publicly thank Chief Dimling for his service to Union Township, because we believe that he has excelled in the position and worked to create, enhance, and maintain Union Township's reputation as a premier residential and commercial destination within greater Cincinnati metro area. Now therefore, let it be resolved by the Board of Trustees of Union Township, Clermont County, Ohio, as follows: in recognition of years of time, service, dedication, and exemplary leadership in the Union Township Board of Trustees, hereby rename our water tower, Fire Station 51, located at 860 Clough Pike, Cincinnati, Ohio, as the Stanley G. Dimling Fire Headquarters at Fire Station 51. Be it further resolved that this resolution is the subject of a general authority granted to the Board of Trustees by the Ohio Revised Code. Chief? Oh. Guys, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes?
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Chief, you're an incredibly kind man, and the police think you're kind because you've let them win the basketball game so many years in a row. Chief, every single time I have called, it has never gone to your voicemail, ever. You've answered every phone call, every question I've ever had. You are a great friend, but a better leader. There is none in this room, sir. You have done more to prove your dedication to our township. I drive by late at night, and I see my chief out there working with his guys, hand in hand. And to say our township is better because of you is an understatement, sir. And I'm excited to rename our fire station headquarters after you. It was a no-brainer when it came up for discussion, and thank you for everything you've done. I can't say anything more. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Becker?
Yeah, Chief, you are not replaceable. And, I certainly agree with everything the chairman just said. You've been an incredible asset to this community and one of the pillars of the community. I'm not sure, how and when our paths first crossed, if it was in the 80s or 90s. I know I told this story once before, but it was in the late 90s. And I was working downtown at the time, one of the office towers. Got a phone call that my wife was having a medical condition. So by the time I got home, EMS was there, and Chief Dimling was also there on the scene. Now, I didn't know at the time that you routinely go to those things. But it was certainly comforting to know that the chief of the fire department was actually at my home, kind of supervising the EMS, getting her out of there and off to the hospital. By the way, she was fine. It was kidney stones or something. So, so that's just a personal story, which I'll never forget, and really appreciate everything you've done.
Mr. Logue, sir.
Yeah. Chief, like I've said, there's really no words that can amount towards your time and dedication to this community. No titles, no naming that can even try to give what you have given. But like I said, when we first talked about your tenure and your length a couple of years ago, and my initial reaction was, my gosh, someday there's going to be a fire station named after you. There just has to be. So, but what you can count, I know it's something that you wear on your heart and your mind, and your dedication and service is the countless lives that you and your family, the whole family serving together. Your wife's here tonight. But the countless lives in the community that you guys have touched time and time again is dedicated by, just what Mr. Dills and Mr. Becker have said here, but, the thousands upon thousands that I know that you've been there for. And that is just the thread that weaves community. And that is something that is irreplaceable, but we hope that, the inspiration of the next generation always comes up and continues to always look up. I know can't fill those shoes. And we're honored that you have the humbleness to allow us to at least do something like dedicate a fire station in your name. But those lives are what matter. Thank you.
Chief, before I have you speak, I see you've got your daughter back there as well, and you mean a lot to not us as well, but also everyone up here. And I'll open it up. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak about the chief at all?
I just want to say thank you. Since I've been here, you've given me great advice and counsel, and I love hearing your stories, and you will be seriously missed.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers.
I would also like to thank Chief Diamond. I was a patrolman when he was a chief when I started here as a patrolman, and he is the essence of a working chief. And it's never fallen on deaf ears with the police department. We've all been in all. He's always out on calls, middle of the night, middle of the day. But the best thing is he's always, if we've ever asked for anything, he's always been there for us and never asked for anything in return. So thank you, Chief.
Chief, it's truly been a pleasure. Obviously, I've always enjoyed your company. The kind words help on a lot of things, so I can't thank you enough. So I wish you all the best in retire.
Chief, I want to thank you. You lived your dream. You wanted to be a fireman, you wanted to be a fire chief, you've done an outstanding job, your family's all dedicated to service. You can't, what chief goes to all the runs? It's just amazing. Your dedication and loyalty is just beyond belief. Calming effect you have on people, even, sometimes when physical officers have a little trouble with his heart and don't want to go to the hospital, you was the guy that kicked me in the tail and said, get on over and get checked out. So I appreciate that. You're going to be missed here, and I just want to thank you for the residents and myself.
Well said, Mr. Campbell. Chief, the floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. This has been a journey for me and the fire department. I refer to it as a marathon, not a sprint. This has always been about keeping us moving forward. Sometimes that was painfully slow, and other times it was very quick. But it was always about moving us forward. It was always about continuous quality improvement and how can we improve on what we're doing. That's been one of the key essentials of being internationally accredited for 20 years. We've been working through the accreditation process. now for 22 years, but from the time we started it, now being accredited for 20 years. But that's just one small benefit of having that. It's about continuously quality improvement. You're never, ever the best you can be, but you always want to keep moving forward. But along that journey, there's been many definite milestones and benchmarks, and I'd like to just touch on a couple if you just bear with me.
Please.
You know, I was fortunate back in 1980 as a volunteer firefighter EMT to be able to put myself through paramedic school. That was at Good Samaritan Hospital in Dayton, Ohio. And that put me in a position that when asked in the mid-'80s, I was asked to put together the first paramedic service in Union Township. Jeff Jackson's out here tonight. He was part of that journey when we started paramedics, and we transitioned in the mid-'80s from being a basic first aid CPR oxygen transport service to a full ALS, advanced life support paramedic service. We've had a long-standing partnership with the UC Physicians Group, with Dr. Bill Hinckley currently serving as our medical director and being affiliated with the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, which is an academic and teaching facility. It's kept us on the cutting edge of pre-hospital care, and I've seen and witnessed in that pre-hospital arena that on the streets of Union Township every day, those paramedics are doing great things. It's just absolutely amazing what's happening before these patients arrive to the hospital that wouldn't have been possible without the paramedic service, advanced life support, and the support of the UC physicians and Dr. Hinckley. The second milestone I'd like to just touch on is that, you know, after we started paramedic service, sometime after that, we put staffing in the stations that we had at the time, around the clock 24/7. Conservatively, that saved anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes or more off of our turnout times, the way it worked in the old days, and now I guess I call it the old days because I'm part of it, but you know, the run got dispatched, and the volunteers like myself at home, you know, whether you were eating dinner, cutting grass, shopping at the mall, sleeping, you dropped what you were doing, and Rob Wink's smiling over there because he was part of that. You dropped what you were doing, and you ran to the firehouse, you got your equipment, you went to the firehouse, you got your equipment, and hopefully a crew showed up. If a crew didn't show up, you dropped the tones again and you started all over again, conservatively. If it was a good day, you might be out the door in 5 minutes. If it was a bad day, you might be out in 15 or 30 minutes. So putting staffing in the firehouse 24 hours a day was a huge move forward for the fire department. After that, the next milestone was adding stations, and you know, we now have, as has already been mentioned, 6 strategically located fire stations throughout the township, covering all parts of the township. And again, by adding those additional stations, we greatly reduced the travel time. So the distance from those on-duty people being in the stations with the right vehicles and equipment to the scene of the emergency was greatly reduced when we went from 2 stations, you know, back in the 1980s to 6 active, fully staffed stations that we have today. You know, people have heard me say this many times, that, you know, our job every day is about putting the right people with the right training in the right location in the right amount of time to make a difference. The firefighters and paramedics in Union Township do that 25 to 35 times every day, and if you lose any of those components along the way, you know, you don't get there in time, you don't do the service, and you probably aren't going to render anybody any help. I have a lot of people to thank, starting with this current board of trustees. Not only the current trustee, but the previous boards of trustees, Mr. Beamer, Mr. McGee, Mr. McGraw. Thank you, and thank you for being here tonight. The administrator, the current administrator, past administrators. I think last week when I was just sitting down thinking about it, I counted 9 different administrators that I have worked for and with, that were either the administrator or acting or interim administrators. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Mr. Geis, because without his vision and leadership, we wouldn't be in the fire service where we are today. Ron Campbell, and I'm going to see if I get this right, because I'm going to look at you when I do it. I expect you to drop your head and nod in affirmative. It takes a lot of money to operate a fire department. It takes a lot more money to operate Class A #1 fire department. You know, we do planning, we plan for our planning. You know, we have 1-month plans, 6-month plans, 5-year strategic plans. We have budgeting. Boy, do we have budgeting. You know, we try and plan for everything, but there are those situations that occur. It's like that something happens and it's not in the budget, or the money hasn't been set aside. It was an unforeseen circumstance. And my relationship with Mr. Campbell is that if I can convince him that we need it, not that we want it, but we need it. It's something that is important to the community, it's important to the firefighters, and we need to have it. When his eyes look at me and say, we need to make that happen, we're gonna do that. It's a done deal. We're gonna find the money, we're gonna do what it takes, and we're gonna get it done. And I appreciate that. I sincerely, it's always been that way, and I sincerely appreciate that. The employees, you know, first of all, the fire department employees, the past, present, and when I talk about past and present employees, that's volunteer, part-time, full-time, administrative staff. They are truly special people. It takes a special person and a special personality to know that when you go to work every day that you're going to run towards danger or you're going to run towards an emergency. It's not normal behavior that you're going to run into a burning building, that the fire's consuming the contents of the building and the structural members, and you're running in when everybody's running out. It certainly is a true certain breed, and we have the best of the best, and you've heard me say that many times, that Union Township has a lot to be proud of. But not only the fire department employees, but all the employees. We work every week, if not daily, with every department. The police department, we're on the streets with them every day. We depend on each other, they depend on us, we depend on them, and we work hand in hand and have an excellent relationship. The service department's kind of the unsung heroes. You know, when there's something that we need that we can't do or we can't accomplish, whether that's a large tree in the road or a hazmat spill that we need sand or something, or it's snow and ice on a road, and it doesn't matter whether it's a county road, a private road, state road. If I call up Matt and say, man, I got an ambulance that's got to get up and down this road and we can't get through it, you know, I'm going to get a snow plow and I'm going to get salt. I mean, that's just the kind of can-do attitude of every employee. Same way with the zoning department. You know, we have new construction, we have old buildings that are an issue. Everybody works together. I've been in a unique position for a long time. I've spent over 25 years with the Clermont County Fire Investigation Team. The last 20 of those, I've been the commander of the team. And as such, I get to work with every fire department in Clermont County and every law enforcement agency in Clermont County. And I know we have some county officials that are with us tonight and that are here. They need to be extremely proud of what's out there. I get to all areas of the township, east, west, north, and south, to investigate those fires. Like I said, every village, every township, state highway patrol, we work with all of them. You know, a lot of the township is covered by the Clermont County Sheriff's Office. I've developed a relationship with Chief Deputy Stratton. You know, if I call Chief Stratton up and I need something at a fire scene and I'm in Washington Township or I'm in Franklin Township, you know, even if it's not a crime scene, you know, he's going to make those resources. You know, we work well and often with the investigators and the detectives with the Clermont County Sheriff's Office. And just, you know, one example recently of new technology, you know, if I'm not in Union Township and we've had a couple large loss fires, they may be criminal, they may not be criminal, but, you know, I place one phone call and I have a drone at the scene, you know, that night or the next day that lets us get unbelievable vantage point to look at smoke patterns, burn patterns, travel patterns of the fire that we never had access to. And that's because of the relationship and partnership with people like the Sheriff's Office and the other agencies across Clermont County. My family, you know, they put up with my nonsense for years. And when I say my nonsense, that's personal nonsense, but also the nonsense, and I'm being kind, that comes with this position and this job is in the township. They've heard me vent too many times to count. My wife's been there through most of my career, and my daughter Cassie, who's out there tonight, she's been there for over half of it, and apparently half of it is enough. Because I've been ridden for years now about her going to the other side and becoming a police officer. And I want to say for the record that I am totally proud of her career choice and what she has accomplished in her dedication to public service. You know, when I'm talking about family, I have to say today's my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. He turns 29 for the 60th time today. So happy birthday. And then, last but not least, the people of Union Township. You have supported us through thick and thin. You know, we can't do it alone. All we can do is ask, and you've given us the resources, or we couldn't have become the department that we are. And I will be forever grateful for that. You deserve the best. You shouldn't settle for anything less than that, and you need to hold everybody up here accountable to make sure that you receive that. That's certainly what I tried to deliver to you throughout the years. It's been my honor and privilege to serve the people of Union Township, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Chief. Chief, can I trouble you to grab a picture with you? The resolution, is that okay?
Only if you let my family.
Yeah, I'll run into that, of course. That's okay. I'd like for you to join us as well, if you'd like. Please. Should we give you a screen, please? Is that okay? Well, President, that's okay? Go ahead, come on. Yeah, perfect.
Didn't think that one. Well, we're done. Can you join us as well?
Oh, yeah.
Ladies, you guys can come forward.
You guys gotta go in the middle. Oh, yeah?
Okay, I'm gonna take a bunch of these, make sure we got everyone's, bear with me for a moment. Yeah, you got the compliments. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Perfect, thank you.
I don't know how to follow that up, Chief. My goodness, okay.
Let me follow it up saying I'm not going anywhere. I'm still a township resident. I can come in here on the other side, speak my piece,
So-
myself, holding people accountable. I'm not going anywhere.
I gotta clarify something, because Chief did not want anything tonight, anything. And when Ms. Ayers called me up to discuss the agenda for tonight, I said, "You've gotta be kidding me, absolutely not." And he's like, "No, sir, he's insisting." And I said, "Well, I'm insisting otherwise," and because obviously our beloved Nancy was retiring as well, and so we compromised and made, bend a little bit and put him at the end of the agenda. And so, but, yeah, he's humble, and did not want to be absolutely recognized at all tonight, so, too bad, sorry, Chief. Okay, comments from the board members. Mr. Becker, did you have anything, sir?
Yeah, I regularly attend the TID meetings, Transportation Improvement District. Just to give a kind of a brief update, I was inquiring about the bridge on Old 74 Rumpke Road. So they are finished with the bridge. They're just going to do some repaving and striping what they're done. So all the work they're doing currently is on the west side of Rumpke. And also, having both ODOT and the engineer's office both in the room, I asked them about keeping Glen Estee Withensville Road open, the north side of it open, until they're finished with Old 74 at Rumpke. And that doesn't seem to be a problem.
Great.
And they anticipate Old 74 will be open, they were talking like the first week of November, is what they expect. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Mr. Logue?
Yeah, just some quick short notes, gentlemen. Just, I'm excited, looking forward to the opening of the Safe Haven Baby Box. Proud of the fact that we were able to lead in Ohio for being basically the model township, model organization. I've heard from Deerfield Township and Mason, and also the city of Mason, and I know the city of Lebanon, they're following suit. We really led the charge on that initial opening, and then working through kind of helping to correct the Ohio Administrative Code and the Ohio Revised Code on that aspect. And another legacy of Chief Dimling there as well. So I'm excited and looking forward to that with Safe Haven Baby Box. It's a great community asset to deliver. Excited about looking forward with the digital budget books that I think should be coming online, targeting maybe the November timeframe. But that's it's a huge piece of accountability to help communicate to the public where revenues are coming from and further of where the expenses are. It's just a further addition to our Ohio Open Checkbook initiative that we had for transparency there. And I'm still enjoying the new website, talking about that communication and getting that message out to residents to be able to sign up and engage and get automatic emails and agendas and meeting notices sent to them. And I just believe that we're at the tip of the iceberg there. But it's just very exciting times, for the residents' knowledge here with the engagement officer position that was released. We had over 75 plus applicants in the first week, and that tells me the community at whole is looking at Union Township for an exciting place to be, and they want to come work here and be here. And that's off the back of delivering things like more freedom to the residents, from commercial vehicles and dogs in the park to being able to execute on that master plan that gave national spotlight for a property group to be able to come in here and invest some dollars right in the middle of the mall. Process and things are going to take time, but it's exciting to be able to champion that and move that forward. So keep up the great work, and I'm just honored that the residents give us the opportunity to be able to work for them and deliver on these promises for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. Let me wrap up with this. First off, I want to thank Justin, our video camera guy, good-looking guy behind the camera. Old school style, he's literally had to stand there the whole night and then go back and forth, whoever's speaking, and it's not an easy job, so I appreciate you, Justin. Something that seems, it's kind of like similar to Pearl Harbor, it kind of just becomes a distant memory, and I hate that. But 9/11 was yesterday, and 22 years ago, I think we all remember where we were at that day. And speaking of firefighters and our police officers, I don't want to forget that day, so we just want to recognize that as a memorial. Mr. Becker, by the way, I wanted to say thank you for attending those TID meetings. Those are Friday at 9 a.m., I think? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I
Once a month.
am not able to typically attend those, so I appreciate you doing that, appreciate you coordinating with our engineer and ODOT, and honestly, the goal is just to get it done as fast as we can, because holy smokes, I appreciate you delivering that, and also bringing home them not opening until after Old 74 is open, so I appreciate that.
They didn't make any promises, but it sounded like that would be the case.
That would be incredibly nice of them if they did that. So, okay, good there. And I was at the Air Force this weekend, and I was frustrated because I'm like, I'm going to miss the very first Bengals game of the season, and boy, am I glad I missed that. Every September is my yearly PT test, and And so we were on the track, and there was, Canadian goose droppings all over the place. And then, but I believe Miss Bowl said she would like to take all of our, Mr. Taylor, Miss Bowl back there said she would take every single Canadian goose, so we could put them on her property, and she would be happy and tickled to death, so she volunteered for that. So, just say that could solve our problem humanely. And last thing is, we'll have a big fat celebration for our Safe Haven Baby Box, and my goodness, was Ohio Revised Code behind the times with technology. The fact that they said they had to man it 24 hours is just silly with technology today. So I'm excited for that. It'll be big and beautiful and a good deal. So, gentlemen, anything else? All right. Here, I thought I was going to have to take a break at 8 o'clock. Okay, upcoming events. Let me do this one first. This Saturday, 8 to 12 p.m., Crime Stoppers drug drop-off and paper shred at Furniture Fair in Eastgate. So if any folks out here have any drugs that you shouldn't have, drop them off. And volunteers will be there. That is this Saturday. Is that correct, Chief? This Saturday?
Yes, sir.
Furniture Fair? Okay, great. Anything, you want to talk about that, any restrictions, anything at all?
We don't take syringes.
Okay.
Or liquids preferably, so just pills.
All right, got it, okay. Legal or illegal, correct? No questions asked, roger that, yep. And, all right, and this Saturday, the lantern lighting ceremony at Mount Moriah Cemetery, this Saturday, September 16th, from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. It's a beautiful ceremony. I would encourage everyone to be there. I will be there. The Farmers Market continues at the Civic Center parking lot each Friday from 4 to 7 p.m. The next business meeting for us will be October 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. right here. And then also next month, we do have our working session, October 24th at 6 p.m. Gentlemen, anything else?
I just want to point out the farmer's market, I think the last one's going to be October 6th, I want to say.
That is correct. Yeah. Ms. Harris, do we have I'm sorry to drop this, do we have the grand opening, I'm going to say the re-grand opening of our baby box, October?
The October 3rd.
October 3rd. Okay, got it. Yep. All right, perfect. Gentlemen, is that it? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. No further discussion. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
We're adjourned at 8:13 p.m.
Great, thank you, sir. Thank you all for a great meeting. Please come by and shake the chief's hand.